Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. So today we are discussing about the Databricks workflows. As we discussed about the workflows, which is accessible only for uh, which is hosted in the cloud environments. So in the community edition, we don't have access to workflows to be used, as you can see. For access, please upgrade your database subscription. So ideally, this can be accessible through cloud environments in which the database is integrated, and there you can select the different tier like standard tier or premier tier. So based on that, you'll be having the features segregated based on the tiers. So we'll go through the diagrams which I have officially in the document. So this is how the workflow design will be there. You'll be having different tasks in workflow to accomplish one workflow activity. Let's say you are having a task like mm, to copy a file. I will write it in whiteboard so that you would be able to see it. Okay. Yeah. Let's say you're having a task to copy a file from one folder to other and run the file. This is one workflow you can think. So the first task will be to copy a file from one folder to other or source to destination. Next task is to run that file in the destination. So this can be a workflow with which contains two tasks. So similarly, we can, in the real-time scenario for the different workflows or activities, we can create the task and we can add the dependency for each task to accomplish, and we can make use of a trigger for the particular workflow or job. So you will be having different tasks, right? This supports Python files or Spark Notebook and even the shell script. So those different types of files are supported here. And when it comes to features, you can do batch and stream processing, and then you'll be having reliability at scale as well. And you will be having the option to monitor and observe the jobs, and you can make use of cluster pools as well to compute to handle the workflows. And then so typically the workflows will be based on the job compute cluster, so that we can see it here in the compute. So as you can see, there is no create option for the job compute. So this will be created only for the workflows. So when you are creating a job here in the workflow, you will be creating a job compute. Okay. So this internally has certain features like created by whom. So those things can be seen, and also you can have the metadata information here, like What is the state of that workflow, name, runtime, how much time it has taken to run, active memory, like how memory consumption, and active cores, how many cores getting used, and worker nodes and driver nodes. So nodes in general, like worker and driver nodes, as I discussed, like how many like worker nodes are getting used or driver nodes are getting used, and how many Databricks units are getting consumed for each task which you are trying to perform in job with different task, and what is the source type, what is the source, and how the this job is getting run. That is workflow. So is it based on the scheduler or is it based on a continuous trigger? So there will be different types of trigger which I will be discussing with you. So here is an example. Here, as you can see, the workflow is selected. Here, we are having three tasks, which one of the task is getting run. Here you can see status is running, and here, as you can see, there will be many task type to select. For example, Python wheel, SQL, Delta Live tables, pipeline, DBT, jar, Spark submit, run job, if else condition, for each condition also will be there. Likewise, there for each task we can select different types of task type and then configure it. So this can be stored in our workspace. Okay. Uh, so after then, once that is selected and submitted, you will be having different tasks allocated like this. Like we will be connecting just by an arrow. So as you can see, the status is running now. And here, as you can see, there is a depends on, right? Here we'll mark it for the which notebook or which task it is dependent upon. You can select for multiple as well. Like multiple tasks can be added over here, and then once the is selected, as you can see, is selected, and you will be able to see runs as well. Like you will be able to monitor. So that's about the workflow run over here. What we have. And yes, as I was saying, we can monitor as well job runs. When you click on job runs, you'll be able to see monitor graph, like which will be having start time, run ID. So based on the each run, it will create a run ID and the job which is getting run launched by what, like by scheduler continuously or something. Like we'll be having one more dependent job as well type that can also be used and duration of which it is consumed for the entire workflow and status whether it is completed, pending or running that can be seen. And also you will be having some actions to whether to stop it or delete it. Likewise, you have other monitor thing, total runs, active runs, complete runs, successful runs. You can filter it and get the data or insights. So going through the documentation, like we discussed how we can configure it and run jobs. Uh, Minimum configuration is to have at least a task or two tasks to better make use of workflow, and a compute resource is required, and type of schedule we have to select. And as I discussed, what is the task? Like task can be anything of these, like a notebook, a jar, SQL query, DLT pipeline. As I said, like Delta Live table pipeline, it is for uh, running the streaming data. Especially, it will be used for that. And another job, like another workflow, it is dependent upon. And control flow, like control flow will be like if else, for each, Those type of control flows we have supported in Databricks. Like as I said, like if else condition will be there, for each will be there. Duration threshold will also be there. Triggers will be there. Types of trigger we'll discuss, like schedule trigger, file arrival. File arrival is something like it is based on the event-based trigger kind of. It will be based on your storage account. And continuous trigger, as the name says, it is about continuous trigger. And scheduled, as the name suggests, based on the scheduled time, it will get triggered. So this is about triggers. And retries, as the name says, retries will happen when there is a failure. So we can configure a number of retries. And then we having concurrency settings. Concurrency setting in the sense like you can run the jobs concurrently. By default, you will be able to run uh, one concurrent job that you can configure it anyways, and you can have the conditional task as I said, like whether it is all succeed, none failed, all done. Based on that, you can do the uh, task execution and going on with, as I said, duration threshold. Duration threshold is something like the timeout for the workflow to be completed. So that you can specify like within this time it has to complete, or else it has to be notified, or it has to be stopped. Those things you can do it. And as we can see, how I can monitor, so you will be having one monitor in the hamburger menu. By clicking on that, you will be able to monitor it. And limitations. This is also important. Workspace is limited to 2000 concurrent tasks. And if it is receiving too many requests, it will raise a 429 status code. And the number of jobs a workspace can create in an hour limited to 10,000. And as you can see, workspace can contain up to 12,000 saved jobs. A job can contain up to 100 tasks. So here job is nothing but a workflow. Okay. So moving on with, so workflow orchestration can also be experimented with Apache Airflow. Apache Airflow is an open source, which you can try it. So yes, this was about the Databricks workflow. So I hope it was insightful. Uh, Thank you so much.